Interviewing is hard, and making good decisions on the back of interviews is even harder. In biotech, a field populated by scientists, the desire to make objective, evidence-based decisions is strong. But it's impossible to remove subjectivity entirely from the interview process. However, you can gather evidence on past behavior to make more informed decisions about the likely future performance of the people you're interviewing. The way to do that is through competency-based questioning. The most widely cited study on this is the 1998 Schmidt and Hunter meta-analysis of 85 years of research on selection methods, which found that structured interviews, which rely on competency-based questions, have a predictive validity coefficient of 0.51 for job performance compared to 0.31 for unstructured interviews. What all that means is that they're roughly 65% more effective at predicting how well a candidate will perform once in the job. Separately, the Research Institute Gallup have found that competency-based interviews that focus on specific skills and past behavior are 86% more likely to result in a successful hire. And the CIPD have discovered that companies using competency-based questioning in their hiring process report 25% lower employee turnover than ones who don't. This method of interviewing has also been shown to increase employee engagement, improve diversity in teams, and to speed up the hiring process. So there are lots of great reasons to conduct competency-based interviews. The basic principle behind them is to ask candidates to give specific examples of times when they've demonstrated a particular competency related to the job or to the company, and then to investigate their answers in a structured, logical way. Now, naturally, the first step is ensuring that the relevant competencies have been defined and agreed, so do that first. Then once you've decided what you want to assess applicants on, there are several popular approaches you can take to competency-based questioning. Now here at Singular, we use a framework called SOAR, also known as STAR. This stands for situation, objective, or in the STAR method, task, action, result, and works as follows. Firstly, ask the candidate to describe a specific situation in which they displayed the relevant competency. For example, tell me about a time you worked under pressure to deliver a tight deadline. Then outline the objective, or what the candidate was trying to achieve. Alternatively, in the STAR method, what task they were given. Ask them to walk you through the specific actions they took, then summarize the result of their actions, ideally against specific measures. You'll need to make sure that candidates answer with specific examples rather than generalities, so don't let them say, usually in those situations I would. And you'll find that some people will talk about what we did rather than what I did. If that's the case, ask them to specifically outline the part they played in the particular example they're giving. An extension of this approach is the ESOR or E-STAR method, which follows the same process as above but adds an evaluation step, where the candidate reflects on what they learned from the experience and how they'd apply their learning in the future. And this method's particularly useful if the situation described ended in failure. So if it was a constructive learning experience, that might well be a positive indicator rather than a blot on the record. CAR, or challenge action result, and PAR, problem action result, are simplified versions of SOAR and STAR, in which a candidate describes the challenge or problem faced, then describes the actions they took to resolve it, and explains the result that was achieved. A third method that's often more challenging to master but can provide more nuanced insight is what's called the BASIC method, which assesses both what the candidate did and how they did it in more depth. The structure is start by understanding the scenario and particularly the candidate's behavior in this scenario. Discuss then the actions they took, then understand the context or situation that the actions took place in, so the environment, constraints, and objectives. Ask them about the measurable impact of the actions they took in the situation, and identify the lasting change or improvement that resulted from the candidate's actions. Now, any of these approaches can improve your interviewing significantly, as evidenced by the research I've already quoted. And we like SOAR because it balances simplicity and detail, but each approach has its own advantages and disadvantages. Competency-based interviewing as a whole takes a bit of preparation, mainly in deciding on the questions you'll ask in advance, and a fair amount of practice to get right, so role-playing is key to really mastering the skill before you let new interviewers loose in a live situation. Given the impact it can have on performance, retention, engagement, diversity, and confident decision making, though, it's well worth the investment.